Hi, I'm Felicia Darling. I am a math instructor here at the Santa Rosa Junior College in the College Skills Department. I'm also the author of an upcoming book called Teachin It, and I'm here with Amy Roscielle Flores today. Amy is a tenured math instructor in the College Skills Department at the Santa Rosa Junior College. I almost called it Santa Rosa Community College. Don't fire me. I'm still in tenure review. Anyway, thanks for joining us today and watching this video. Again, I'm here with Amy Roscielle Flores, and I think we'll just get started. Also, Amy, besides being a tenure track math instructor in the College Skills Department, you also are, what would you call that in the tutorial department, like the director, or what is that?
Because Julie is our kind of supervisor right now,
okay.
So I'm kind of assisting.
Oh.
And kind of being mentored by her again.
Yeah, unfortunately at the community college level, we don't always get titles even when we have big responsibilities. All I notice is that Amy seemed to be in charge of the tutorial center in Doyle on the bottom floor, at least all last semester.
Last semester.
Right? We don't get titles, but we have a lot of really cool responsibilities. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to ask Amy the same questions I've asked other instructors. Number one, I'll ask, why do you like teaching at the community college? Number two, how do you launch your class? What do you do on the first day? And I asked that question to get an idea of Amy's philosophy, as well as the first day really sets the stage for what you're going to be doing for the rest of the semester. And then the third question is, it's been a while since I've done an interview, I'm like, the third question is, what other strategies would you like to share? So again, Amy, you can look at me a little bit. You can also look at the camera because that's where the viewers are going to be. This is also in a podcast. So I don't know, we don't have to do anything special for the listeners, I guess.
And me to dance.
I don't know. Maybe we'll do rhythm. I don't know. I think we're okay. We're not going to do any. If you're on a podcast, sorry, we're not. We're doing some cool stuff you're missing. You might want to watch the video. Okay. But anyway, let's go ahead and get started. So, Amy Roscielle Flores, why do you like teaching at the community college level?
So, first of all, thank you, Felicia, for inviting me to share my experience, and I'm really hoping that I'd be able to kind of answer those questions. So maybe to answer your first question, I want to go back to my journey as to how I became a teacher. So my degree is not in education. I graduated back in the Philippines, born and raised in the Philippines, got my bachelor's degree in math in the Philippines. And I started actually, the first work I had was on with Philippine Statistics Office, so it wasn't into teaching. But maybe it's because my mom was a teacher, an elementary teacher, so I kind of watched her prepare her lesson plans and so on and so forth, her materials and everything while growing up. So it kind of made me decide to get into teaching. So, but on the other hand too, well, back in college while taking my bachelor's degree in math, for some reason I took some education units, education courses.
You must have been interested. You must have been interested even back then.
Probably. So maybe it was like a backup plan in case I'm gonna get into the teaching profession. So that's what I did. So first I was with Philippine Statistics Office. But then, like 2 months later, I resigned because there was an offer for me to teach at a high school in Baguio City. So that's from the northern part of the Philippines. So I taught there for 2 years. And that's where I experienced like the reality of becoming a public school teacher back in the Philippines, where I thought it wasn't true. Like watch those information from the television. They would say 70 students in a classroom, you have to teach 5 classes every single day, and so on and so forth. I couldn't believe it when I went to that school for my first day. I was like, oh, it's real that I have like 70 students.
You had 70 students in a class?
Correct.
Oh, wow.
Correct. So it's like you don't have like space anymore to move. So I taught there for 2 years, and during the 2 years, an auntie, kind of who's already teaching here in New Mexico, invited me to apply.
Oh, in New Mexico?
In New Mexico. Because, we have this shortage of mid-school math special ed science teachers.
Okay.
So that's when I applied, and maybe I was blessed because I was able to land a job in New Mexico.
Oh, wow.
So of course, it's a different story about like the processing, how much we have to pay and stuff like that too. So
That's a whole nother story. I see.
Yes.
So, but you did land in New Mexico eventually after millions of cha-ching, 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 and lots of work. Okay.
So in 2006, that's when I relocated to New Mexico, and I taught summer school. So it wasn't even the beginning of the academic year, the school year, but it was like summer school. It was some June 1st or June 4th. And I was just given like, here's the New Mexico standards for math for 7th grade.
Was that Common Core in 2006? No, not yet.
Pre-Common Core. So it's like, what am I going to teach? Like, just based on this learning goals and this outcomes. So like, I just did what I can. And that's when I was able to attend like professional development also through Math and Science Academy. So that's based in northern New Mexico.
Okay.
It's funded by Los Alamos National Lab.
Okay.
So they have the money.
Is that for grades 7 through 12 math teachers?
K-12. So
K-12, okay.
Math and Science Academy is a professional development program geared for K-12 STEM teachers.
Okay.
To kind of train them on like content, pedagogy, and so on and so forth. It's also like collaboration among teachers from different districts in northern New Mexico.
Okay.
So it's a commitment that you really have to take because it's for 3 years, and for a year you have to commit at least 200 hours.
For 3 years.
Correct.
Okay.
So like in the summertime you have like 2 weeks of pedagogy, and then a week of like content.
Okay, I see. So, and this still is part of your story. The original question is, why do you love teaching at the community college? And you are now walking us through your history, and you're up to the point where you moved to New Mexico, and you were involved in, what's the academy called?
Math and Science Academy.
Math and Science Academy, okay.
So Math and Science Academy through Dr. Lorenzo Gonzalez, Dr. Catherine Berryhill. We have Carol Brown, who's already retired right now, but still I have my contacts with them, and I consider them my greatest mentors.
Oh, wow.
So I kind of joined this program, and it really made sense to me. It kind of helped me to shape what I really wanted to do in life, if teaching is really for me. So in a way, it did. And at the same time, the program gave us the opportunity to go into our master's degree.
Oh, I see.
So that's how I was able to get my master's degree at New Mexico State University.
I see.
So that qualified me to get into community colleges.
Is this the first, is Santa Rosa Junior College your first community college
So this
job?
is my second.
Oh, okay.
So I stayed with Espanola Public Schools as a 7th grade teacher. And I taught there for 5-6 years, but at the same time, working on my master's degree.
I see.
So once I completed my master's degree, I was able to apply at Northern New Mexico College as a
and that's like a community
instructor.
college? Yeah, okay.
Yes. So I was teaching as a 7th grade math teacher. At the same time, I was working part-time as a math instructor at Northern New Mexico College. So I did that for maybe a year or 2 years until an opportunity opened. So, but during my time with Northern New Mexico College as a part-time instructor, that's where I met like my wonderful students who kind of made me think about what I really wanted to do in life, because I thought teaching at the 7th grade level was enough for me, and that's what I'm going to do for the rest of my life.
Okay.
But then when I moved to Northern New Mexico College, and having been exposed to different, like especially with my students, with how I have like older, younger, like my students came from different backgrounds, so it was like an eye-opening experience for me. So I remember specifically my veterans.
Oh, interesting.
I had veterans the very first student I had to, an older student, she was 55, 57 then. She took my intermediate algebra class.
Yeah.
And then the following semester, she took again my statistics class. So it really made me think that this is what I wanted to do in life. I wanted to work with students who are from different, maybe age background or different, who would bring in different life experiences, especially like the returning students. So that made me realize that I need to do something about this. So an opportunity opened up at Northern New Mexico College. So at the middle, maybe sometime in March in 2011, I felt so bad about it, especially with my 7th grade students. I resigned. I left my 7th grade students. Which
to
was
come
like,
here?
No, to
go to that community college?
Yes, to work at Northern New Mexico College full-time. So it was like 2 weeks away from their standards-based testing. So it's like it didn't have enough time to kind of prep them before I left.
So you feel bad about that?
I did, because I had like very good students.
It sounds
really
like the community
motivated.
college was a calling for you, though.
Correct.
So, and you mentioned that a pivotal moment was when you had a student who took your intermediate algebra, then they took statistics. What was so pivotal about that moment? Why did that make you think, this is what I want to do, teach community college?
Because I asked her, like, why, not to be rude, but like at your age, why did you decide to come back now that your kids are already successful? They have their own family, they have their own lives, and it's just you. And she said, education, I kind of put it aside for a long period of time because I have to be a mom, I have to raise my kids. So this time I have to fulfill my dream of getting an education.
I see.
So that's when he said, like, maybe if I get into the community college and work with this group of students, it would really be more meaningful for me. It would be more gratifying for me as a teacher.
Because you could help change, be part of them changing their lives.
Even though like they're already on their maybe 50s, they still have that desire to learn. And if nobody will be there to help them reach whatever ambition they had, they kind of put aside for a long period of time, what will going to happen to them?
So that's what like you see as your role. Like you feel like there needs to be people like you at the community college level who can make a difference for these students who are coming back or kind of getting a second chance or like a second wind, and you feel like you're ready to be one of the people that does that work. Yeah.
Especially like our veterans too. Like some of them, they have their PTSD. So it's like, what's going to help them?
I see.
If you're not there to help them kind of redirect, go back to their normal lives.
Right. Did you have anything else you want to say, or do we want to go on to the next question?
Yeah,
so
we can
do you want to add
next.
anything else to why you like teaching at the community college level?
So that's it. That's
okay.
when,
there you go. All right. It seemed like enough, but I wanted to make sure you didn't have anything else you wanted to add. Maybe a pitch for SRJC and how awesome it is working here. Anything like
that's
that?
What, and it's kind of.
I mean, you're already tenured, so but
it's interesting too because back in New Mexico, I didn't have that many, not even one Asian student.
Oh.
So it's like the cultural difference too.
Oh.
So like 2 years after having been hired full time in Northern New Mexico College as their developmental math specialist to kind of bring in some innovations in the math classrooms. I applied here at the SRJC without even knowing where Santa Rosa was. I know it. It was in California.
Sunny California.
So I was like, okay, I just applied. And it was funny because we didn't have, I kind of sent my paper application, which was that thick.
Yeah.
So it wasn't through NEUGO at the time.
Oh.
So I drove here. I came here. I flew here just for my first interview. So it's like from airport to SRJC and left. So I was wondering, is SRJC really for me? It's like it seems like it's a small town.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have the chance to kind of go around. So the second interview, that's when my husband and I drove. That would be able to kind of check the area too, if it's really where we want to settle, because don't know. We didn't have friends here.
Right.
But I didn't know anyone
Now
from
you do.
here.
Now we're friends.
Yes.
We're friends. You're getting friends.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
So I'm actually very grateful to SRJC for giving me the chance to be part of this institution.
Is it a more diverse student body than in New Mexico?
It's more diverse here
in Santa Rosa
than
Junior
in
College.
New Mexico, because we just have like Hispanic people,
And,
you know.
Yeah, okay. So it was more diverse because it was more Asian Americans here, international students maybe?
Correct.
Okay.
Or international students. We had international students back in Northern New Mexico College, but they're from Syria, from those areas, like basketball.
It's one place.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
okay, sure.
From Bolivia.
Okay.
Compared here, when it's everywhere.
Yeah, it is. It's a pretty diverse student body, even if it doesn't even reflect necessarily the community to some degree. But
which actually makes like the classroom experience more meaningful because of the diversity.
well, how does it make it more meaningful?
Like sometimes I would get like these students where they thought, which is like a Filipino thing too, wherein did you understand how it's done? They would just say yes, even though in reality they haven't, because of the thing when respect teachers when yes, I'll just say yes.
Oh, I see.
So it's like we have to do something about that if they're really telling me the truth, if they really understood it or not.
Well, maybe that'll come into the next question we ask about strategies, because we'd like to know the answer to how you do that. So the next question is, how do you launch your class? What do you do on the first day that, and I asked that question to find out about your teaching philosophy, but also what we do on the first day really sets the stage for everything that happens after that with students. So can you tell us a little bit about what you do on the first day?
Correct. So as Felicia mentioned, the first day is very, very critical. The first days of the semester is very critical because it kind of sets the tone of your class for the entire semester. So I know that typical, like we do syllabus and stuff like that, but it's not that effective. We're doing like kind of giving them the too much information in one day. Though students are very enthusiastic, also knowing like what are we going to do, what are we going to learn in this class. So what I do is I use a lot of icebreakers, icebreaker activities to kind of set the tone of the class too. But I kind of make sure that I capture the academic part. I kind of set the expectations, the tone of the class. So I do like some math tricks when they walk in. We do some math tricks right away. So I kind of see their faces. They get surprised if I tell them, I want you to take out a piece of paper, your pencil with you, because we're going to do math.
Oh, first day.
Yeah, so they're going to be like, what? We're going to do this right away. I thought it's the typical, here's the syllabus, we're going to go through this. No. So, but it's like a trick wherein sometimes add this, think of a number, and then add 5 and subtract this and that. And then in the end, whatever your answer is, it's your birthday and stuff like that to kind of make it fun. So it's kind of math, still math related. And then at the same time, we do some introduction, but I kind of do it in a way wherein they interview someone that they're going to introduce during like a class discussion. So because my goal is for them to be comfortable and at the same time to set the tone where throughout the semester you're going to be presenting, you're going to be communicating. I want them
so
to
they're
talk.
Presenting the first day to the whole class.
Correct. And at the same time as they introduce their, we call them newfound friends.
Okay.
So it's like we kind of recognize each of those students in class.
Oh,
so
that's
which
true, because
kind of
every single person gets interviewed. Every person interviews, every person gets introduced to the class.
So it's kind of their shining moment when they get introduced by their newfound friend.
I see, sure.
So it's like another way of saying, you're so special. We wanted to know more about you. Tell me, like, because sometimes they'd ask, what are we going to say? Like, I would kind of tease them, bring the humor in class. Right? Let me tell us, if you feel comfortable, tell us how many boyfriends, how many ex-boyfriends, how many ex-girlfriends, or how many pets, how many
Does
cats.
anyone do that? Does anyone?
They just giggle, which kind of, which is good because the very first meeting, like, they would just do that. So kind of bring in the humor in class as well. So they introduce, and that's also my way of kind of taking role. And at the same time, if there are names that I couldn't pronounce correctly,
Mm-hmm.
So it's my opportunity also to kind of have that conversation with that student and kind of make their names special, because, you know, that's the sweetest word people want to hear. Like, to hear your name.
You want to make their name special because that's the sweetest word people want to hear. That's quotable. But so how do you get their names right on that first day? Do you ask them when the person introduces them?
Correct.
Is that how you say it, or is it something like that?
Okay. And at the same time, if I couldn't pronounce the first name, I was going to call Miss whatever the last name is.
Oh, that's an interesting idea.
Right. And they would kind of help you pronounce it. Or sometimes they would give you like a different name. So maybe just call me.
Like a nickname or something.
Or just call me Saturday.
Call me Saturday. Do you get that a lot?
I have a student.
Wow.
That's his name.
I do. People
it.
have stuff. Yeah.
Yes.
And you're like, all right, I'm going to call you that. And it's true. You're right. It's really sweet because now you're using their familiar name.
Correct.
Yeah, that's a really good idea.
Yeah, and at the same time, it's my way also to, if there are some unique names, does it have anything to do with what's the meaning of this?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it's like acknowledging their presence and at the same time, like, their ethnic background.
Oh, I see.
So
because you're getting their name right, it's in a way it's
correct.
honoring their origins.
Correct.
That's a good idea.
So it kind of really helps them to kind of speak also, because they're very shy.
Yeah,
especially the first day.
So far you've told me, like, first of all, you're getting the names right, and you're actually doing that, not just memorizing their names, because that really represents who they are, but also recognize a little bit of their cultural background. But they also interview and introduce people. You do math tricks, and what else?
So I also do like group activities.
Okay.
Where that's when I take out some of, like, because we have to kind of go and talk about some of, like, the expectations, the syllabus and stuff like that, what's expected of them. So that's when I take out and distribute a copy of my syllabus.
Okay.
So that's when sometimes I do pair share. So maybe, or sometimes like 1 minute, so maybe, or 30 seconds, personal time, it's me time. So maybe just kind of browse the syllabus and then make sure to identify if there are like questions, if there are some confusions. Keep it to yourself, keep that in mind, and then that's when I kind of make them work in groups too, and then kind of have that conversation.
So you do a lot of group work. So like that sounds like almost like a think, pair, share. You do an interview and presentation. I mean, it sounds like you do a lot of that's at least 2 or 3 different group activities.
I do it because I want them to have that expectation for the entire semester, and it's so difficult to kind of launch a group, right? So like that's an introduction also for them as to how a group should work. So, and kind of encourage them also to talk. So it's right off the bat, if you want to have like group activities or whatever strategies you're going to be using throughout the semester, they're kind of introduced.
Right.
So, but at the same time, while they do their conversations, their group activities, I kind of take note as to where they're seated.
Okay.
That way I'd be able to kind of, because more or less when they come back the following meeting, wherever that student Saturday sat, that first meeting, more or less, he'll kind of go back to that same spot.
Right.
So I'd kind of remember. That's my way of kind of remembering their names too.
That makes a lot of sense.
And on top of that, the most important thing that we do also is expectations. That's when we do like class discussion. But the way that I do it is I don't give them the expectations. So I make them talk about like how to be a successful college skills 371 student or college skills 372 student. Okay.
So they're like co-developing kind of expectations with them?
Correct. So I want them to come up with the expectations. Of course, with my little bit of guidance. Or
Right. You're facilitating the learning. You're not like, hey, have fun with that. I'll be over here.
Correct. Right. And then that's when they kind of think about it too and have that conversation again. And then group discussion. Afterwards, I kind of make a list of everything that they would say. And then in the end, I kind of use colored paper though. Then in the end, I kind of pass it around for them to sign.
Oh, really? In the classroom? You write it down in the classroom, and then they just add their name to it?
They have to sign because it's theirs. They came up with this
in the classroom. You do that.
Yeah.
So you're doing like some sort of. They think. So again, think, pair, share. Maybe they share in bigger groups. Then the whole class shares out. You're scribing on a piece of paper, and they have to. You hand it around. This is what we co-developed as expectations or classroom norms, otherwise known as. And then they sign it right then and there. Oh, interesting.
It's like establish the procedures, which eventually becomes a routine. Because it would make more meaningful because they came up with those expectations.
Right.
Yes.
And they're not going to be far off from what you would have mandated anyway, right? They're pretty much like be respectful, come on time, don't disrupt the class, keep your phone away. Yes. Oh, how interesting.
So it's like ownership, taking ownership. So what I do is I keep those. And then at the same time, like towards the middle of the semester, or if I notice that they kind of deviating away from those expectations throughout the semester, I take it out.
Oh, yeah.
Like projector.
Oh, yeah.
Remember this?
Right, bring it back into the, spiral it back in later, right? This is what we talked about. Is this happening? Because this is what you guys developed, right?
Correct.
Oh, interesting. That's a good idea.
Correct.
Anything else you do on the, like, that's a lot of things, actually. I feel like I consider that very layered instruction. There's like, you're spiraling in a lot of college and career and college skills, soft skills. You're laying the groundwork for group work, how that many different ways group work might happen throughout the semester. You're building a community of learners. You're also really creating an inclusive environment, a safe, inclusive environment. Like we're gonna pronounce your name correctly, and we're gonna, even if you have a nickname, we'll use that. Anything else? Not that you needed to do anything else. I think that's a lot for the first day.
And I always emphasize when this is our community. So when we talk about community, we have to work together. So it's like having that thinking, making them think that, oh, we're all together in this. And I kind of tell them, right now, you have 100% grade for this class, so it's up to you. If you want that to be 95, to be 90, but right now we have to keep that 100%. And so like positive encouragements, positive expectations. And like what I said, like it's setting up also the tone of the classroom for it to be like nurturing, caring, because at the end of the day, when we talk about education, it's not just about like the academic skills.
Right.
We affect their lives. It's like whatever you did to that person, they're gonna remember that will kind of stick in them, and they're gonna remember that throughout their lives. It's not solving for X that will gonna stick in their lives. It's the way
you hope they remember that too, but
true.
But yeah.
But that's, for me, that's what education is all about.
Because it's going to be, like, solving for X will help them in their next math class, but it may be somewhere else. But you're saying these are, like, college and career readiness skills. These might be skills, life skills even, that might be useful in every environment from here on in.
Yes. Yes, even though it's not really apparent or visible that you're teaching them, like you're kind of helping them to come up with good behaviors, good skills that are really applicable for them in real life. It's like it's part of what we are teaching them, what we are expecting them to learn from us. And I kind of tell them that, like, you learn from it. It's not because I'm the instructor here in that I know everything.
Right.
Like every single meeting, every chance, every conversation I make with each one of you, I learn from you, bring something also. So just to kind of make sure that, it's
a very egalitarian approach, right? It's a step away. You know these words because you went to grad school not that long ago, but it's a move away from the behaviorist approach towards the social constructivist approach, and which is what we hope people are doing. And that is really useful in everyday life and everywhere, right? It's a social constructivist approach.
And I remember one of my mentors, Dr. Barry Hill, in one of her presentations, it's about relationship. Because we're dealing with people, these are not products, where they can just kind of hear. Like, these are people. They have feelings. Like, whatever you say, whatever you do, it impacts them. There's an impact. You're leaving them an impact. It affects their lives.
I'm sorry that sounds so radical. I mean, the way, you say that, and I think, yeah, everyone should really think that. But I have a feeling that it is radical for some people. They're like, no, I teach this content. And yeah, I think so. And for some people, that probably is more radical than for others.
But it took me a while, actually, to kind of realize this.
To get there, I see.
To get where, like, to think this way. Because looking back, my first 2 years of teaching, especially back in the Philippines, with 60, 80 students, 5 sections in a day, I was like, drill. So I felt like we were on a race. And I was kind of running away from them, and my students were trying to, like, and I was saying, we're
just trying to teach you content, leave me alone.
Sure, like, every day, take out a quarter sheet of paper for you to take quizzes. Like, 20 questions. So just imagine 20 times 5, like how many papers to grade. And I felt that way. So I felt so bad. But it's a learning experience. You learn from your mistakes, because as teachers, if we dare to teach, we must dare to learn,
It kind of comes back to the original question of why do you like teaching at the community college, and I think you've answered that in that little scenario there, that you're actually be able to people first. You're able to really focus on building the community and life skills, and it's not just about hurry up and finish this paperwork so I can get away from you, so I can go correct that paperwork, right?
Correct.
I mean, there's some correcting of paperwork, of course. Okay, I'm going to move on to the last question. Thank you so much for answering that, the first two. The last question is, any other strategies or activities or practices that you'd like to share that you do, not just on the first day, but later on, that you think are pretty good, that you feel like, hey, these are working, I want to continue to do these?
Correct. I tried using, we call it bell work.
Okay, I don't know that.
So it's like students start the class. It's not me who starts the class.
Oh.
So the minute they walk in, they have like a task to do.
Okay.
And they're expected, like, the minute they walk in, put their bag, there's something that I'm going to do right away. Rather than, Miss Flores, what are we going to do for today?
Oh, interesting.
So I do bell work every day. So the minute they would come in, so like we have a word problem, our favorite, everybody's favorite word problem that's already on PowerPoint.
Okay.
So they can
it's already
work
up there.
on that
That's what
right
they do
away.
when they come in.
Correct.
And they start the class. That's called bell work.
Yes. Or
is it because
bell
that's
ringer.
when the bell? Oh, a bell ringer, because the class is starting and they're starting the class.
Correct,
Okay,
correct.
good. Thank you.
And at the same time, I do the learning goals.
Okay.
I write the learning goals every single meeting on the board, the same spot. Because one day I forgot.
Oh.
And the student asked, like, Miss Flores, how come we don't have the learning goals on the board?
What are we doing today?
Yes, so it's like
that's good.
The learning goals, and at the same time, what are the homework assignments or the quizzes?
Okay.
That's attached to the learning goals.
Interesting.
So even though they have their, your course calendars, when you're very specific about the requirements, the assignments for that particular meeting, if you kind of present them multiple times, put them everywhere.
Yeah.
That way students would see it again and again.
That makes sense.
It would really help them. So it's like, here's the homework that's attached to this learning goal. Here's the quiz that's attached to this, and it's to do this day. So it kind of helps.
So those are two ideas. Wait, the first one is the bell ringer. They come in and they start the class, not you. And the second one is you put learning goals for the day. You explicitly put them somewhere. You leave them up all class, and it's in the same place.
Correct.
So two new strategies. Those are great. Thank you. I'm writing them down.
And the learning goals, it kind of helps too when you try to end the class. It's summarize, like, or even at the middle of your instruction, wherein going back here, did we meet our goal for today?
Right.
Or going back, remember this is now, did we cover all of these goals? So it's very explicit for them to kind of
I do like
this
that.
is what we're doing. These are the things that we covered towards the end of the session of the class.
Oh, yeah. Full disclosure. So Amy is on my tenure review committee. And one of the areas that she mentioned last time that I want to work on is this idea of debriefing. And I do the learning goals, and I love this idea of coming back at the end and saying, instead of like, okay, now we got to go now. Like, what did we do?
Correct.
Did we achieve the goals that we I'm not trying to get points on my tenure review committee, but I really do think that's a great idea, and it's an area where I am still working on, is the closing and the debriefing. So thanks for mentioning that.
And that's very good too, because it's like writing a paper, right? You have the introduction, you have the body, and then you need to have like the closure, the ending, which
conclusion.
is the same thing.
Yeah.
There should be this introduction, here's the body, and then here's the conclusion.
Yeah, I like it.
So to kind of end it.
Yeah, I like it.
And then another thing that I'm currently doing too is, because homework assignments, every single meeting we have homework assignments. So like they're expected that once they walk in, sometimes encourage them to come in maybe 5 or 10 minutes earlier, for them to maybe kind of have a conversation about their homework assignments, like identify the problems where they struggle the most, and we go over those in class.
Okay. So you encourage them to come a little earlier, just, and like explicitly say that, hey, if you come a little earlier, you can get some help from me or your pals.
Or at the same time, like, have a conversation. Like, even though, struggles.
That's a great college skill for any class, too. Correct. So getting them started on that idea, because we teach in college skills sometimes the very first class. My 8 o'clock 372 class, how many people is your very first college class? Everybody. It's their very first college class. So especially we're helping other instructors teaching in college skills, right? With that one in particular, because that sets that up that, they could do that in other classes. Yeah.
And, like whatever strategies, tools that we provide in class, sometimes they could also be applicable in other disciplines. Like I use Cornell Notes and encourage them, maybe try to use this, adopt this in your other classes. Okay, that's cool. And one more thing that I learned from the other mentor I have, it's Dr. Rick Kitchen from University of New Mexico. During those MSA, Math and Science Academy days, when he was our math facilitator, during that 1 week of, we called it Math Excitement Week.
Okay.
Yeah.
I get it. Like excitement, math excitement, like
something
that?
Something like that, yeah. So he always had this, call it poker face.
Oh.
But he would come around, he would let us do some, math work. And then he would kind of visit us in groups and then kind of ask, how did you get this? Or sometimes if we would ask him, did he get it right? Because that's how we're students. Did they get this right, Miss Flores? And then he's good at, if you look at his face, there's no reaction, right or wrong. So it's the first time he did that to me, it kind of made me did I do something wrong? So it kind of
is he mad?
But it made me think that maybe I did something wrong on my computation. So it made me go back and revisit my computation. Even though then I just realized I didn't do anything. But it can help me to kind of back. So it's
made
the
you be
strategy.
more accountable, right?
Correct.
I like I do the poker face too. I like that one a lot.
Yeah.
It's probably more work for me than him, but because I'm so but that's a really good one. So you call it what'd you call that, poker face?
Yeah.
Okay. So basically he goes around, he's not confirming whether it's right or wrong. He's going, well, how'd you get that? And then that way you do the work of, wait, is it right? Is it wrong? And you go ahead and you're more accountable.
Yes,
students are more accountable. That's funny that you got to be a student when he did that. So now you do that in your classes. Oh.
Sometimes you always have to go back and think when you were a student, right?
Yeah.
When you were a student, how was this presented to you? And now that you're teaching, what's the ideal way of presenting this?
Right. And usually it's not the way we learned in school, because that's outdated.
Correct.
For those of us who are as old as me. Back when dinosaurs roamed the earth. But that model might be outdated, how we learned. So you went through this academy, Math and Science Academy, where you actually got to be a new kind of student, not the way you were in school, but okay.
But it's like what I said, it took me years. It didn't happen overnight to have that mind shift. But what teaching is all about.
Yeah, because you're refining all the time.
It's like what I said, the first few years of my teaching career, I taught the way how I was taught.
Right.
Because I thought, it worked for me, it will also work for them.
Look, I'm a math instructor, right? It must be good. That's interesting. Do you have anything else you'd like to share? You've shared a lot of strategies. Do you have any other strategies you want to share before we...
Self-assessment. I'm really into the self-assessment. So, of course, we can't get away from having these formative assessments. I mean, this summative assessments. And it's maybe about time for us to kind of go and revisit about formative assessments. And one of the assessments that's been neglected is like self-assessment.
Student self-assessment.
Yes,
okay.
yes, self-assessment. So it's even like the thumbs up, thumbs down.
Okay.
Or like I even have
Okay.
like a paper and I wrote parking lot.
Okay.
And I have it attached in my classroom. It's Amy Flores' College Skills 371 parking lot.
Ah.
For students, I kind of post like if there are questions before they move on to the scheduled lab, because in our college skills classes we have scheduled lab.
So on the way out the door, they can
Yes.
just write something like, still don't get adding
Correct.
fractions, still
Correct.
don't get
Correct.
scientific notation.
Yes.
Okay.
I also do like foldables, graphing organizers.
Mm-hmm.
About like foldables, and I remember I did a specific graphic organizer, which is all about like there are statements,
Mm-hmm.
okay, and then you have to complete this.
Mm-hmm.
If there's like one thing, my aha moment for today, whatever that is, I complete the statement.
Like
they have to
foldables,
choose.
are they folded into four?
They're papers, like
Okay.
colored papers, and we have to kind of fold it and
Okay.
staple it. And I
Okay.
remember one of my students said, I remember this when I was in high school.
Oh, really? Huh.
We did this when we were in high school. Yeah.
I'm not sure about the foldables. I'm not sure what you mean yet. So they what do they put on there?
So it's like the responses. So it's that way they have like.
Do they keep it for themselves, or do you look at it?
I take it
Okay.
after they fill in their assessment, their self-assessment, their
Okay, so
reflection.
it's a self-assessment. Okay.
For the day. That way I'd be able to kind of read if there are some still confusions.
Like
or
you actually
whatever,
collect
yes.
them, right? Instead of on the poster where maybe a few people write it on their way out, everyone's hands in a foldable.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay. Cool.
And because self-assessment, it's so important too. It's also for students to reflect and go back to their learning.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like taking ownership. Like at the end or before we start or a new chapter, a new unit, through Canvas, we have this self-assessment questions. And it's not for a grade. I don't do it for grades.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, on Unit 1, we worked with fractions, multiplication, division of fractions. So we finished the entire unit. So before we move on, they're required to answer those responses. There's no right or wrong answer. And one of them, like multiplying, is it true that each time we multiply numbers, we always get a larger number? Each time we divide numbers, like do we always get a smaller number?
I see.
And you can kind of see also like the misconceptions in here.
Right. Oh, yeah. So it's a self-assessment and it's a checking for understanding.
Correct.
It's a little bit of both.
So I kind of really emphasize that it's not for a grade. It's not for a grade. Or sometimes I would say, so-and-so Sunday was absent last Thursday when we covered this topic. So multiplication of this and that. So how are you going to explain this to Sunday, the next meeting? So it's like, and they're also encouraged to to communicate through writing, because we all know that when we talk about math, it's
Communicate
not about,
with you in writing or their classmates?
it's like they're kind of communicating, they're kind of typing. Because we thought math is just about speaking, but sometimes it's also writing.
Oh, so do you have like a
Kinda
forum,
uses-
like an online forum in your class?
No, it's just through the Canvas.
Okay. Oh,
So
through
the
the
responses.
Oh, I see.
So
Oh,
they
discussion.
kind of
Yeah.
type their
Alright, yeah.
answers.
That's like a
there, which
forum
is-
in Canvas. Yeah. Okay. The discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Sure.
So
Cool. Wow. You do
because
a
they
lot.
have to kind of write, right?
Yeah. I mean, writing in math, that seems so
Correct.
novel, but that is a good idea.
True. Like push them to kind of write.
Is there? All right, so we're going to wrap things up. We're getting close to that time. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming, Amy Roscielle Flores.
Thank you,
I don't get to
Felicia.
say your full name all the time. It's always Amy. Yeah, and thanks for coming. And I'm glad that you came and shared some of your expertise. I have a lot of new tips I want to try after listening to you. No, not because you're on my 10-year review committee, but because they're really
Plus
cool
points
ideas.
for you, Felicia.
I know. This is not what this is about. I don't care who's listening. It's not. But anyway, I'm going to sign off.
Yeah.
So again, Felicia Darling, Amy Roscielle Flores, we both teach math in the College Skills Department at Santa Rosa Junior College. I hope you enjoyed either the podcast or the video today. And see you later.
Thank you.